Tertullian, one of the early church fathers, is credited with saying that it's the blood of the martyrs that is the seed of the church. And he's trying to convey the truth and the pattern that it's in the midst of hardships and trials and sufferings and especially persecution that God and his church are often at their finest, that God comes and uses hardships and trials and sufferings and persecutions as a catalyst to come and to spread his gospel and advance his kingdom. And so as we look at history, we see this as a pattern that we see again and again and again. All we have to do is go to the book of Acts and we see it there, how God comes and uses the persecution that breaks out in Jerusalem as a moment to rouse a comfortable and complacent church to action. How he comes and uses that moment to advance the gospel from Jerusalem to Judea to Samaria to the outer ends of the earth. A little while later, we see again how God uses the persecution that breaks out under the brutal rule and reign of the Roman Emperor Nero to grow the church. And just 500 years ago, with the Reformation and the persecution that broke out there, we see one of the greatest growth spurts in the history of the church. And closer to home in China, this day and age, how the government there is shutting down the church, and the only viable church is the underground church, and how against all odds and in the face of great persecution, that church has grown exponentially and done so well. And so what's my point? Well, my point is that it seems like in the midst of hardships and trials and suffering and persecution, God presents the church with an opportunity for growth and advancement. And so where we are at in this pandemic age, I don't know that we can truthfully say we're being persecuted, but I do know that as a church, our backs are up against the wall. Our historical wineskin and the way we've done things have gone out the windoa. And many of us are all at sea around what to do and how to go about this. And I'm hearing lots of people and lots of pastors and leaders getting excited about all kinds of things, frothing at the mouth about our constitutional right to gather together and our spiritual right to gather together. But I don't know if they're fighting as much for the right to gather together as they are for a building, a brick and mortar building that we've mistakenly called church. And I'm hearing of other people fighting for our right to gather together because we're not seeing people saved or healed. And I don't know when people being saved or healed became limited to meeting in a brick and mortar building that we mistakenly called church. And so if we're going to be frothing and fighting for anything, let it be for the gospel imperative, not to gather together in a brick and mortar building that we've mistakenly called church, but let's fight for the gospel imperatives to gather together and to fellowship under the apostles' teaching, to pray together and to break bread together. And we don't need a building to do that. Let's fight for the imperative to advance the gospel, to have disciples that make disciples out there. And so if we're getting excited about anything, if we're fighting for anything, let's fight for that. And it feels to me like God has come in this time and in this season, and he's rousing a comfortable and complacent church, and he's calling us to action and to see the opportunity that is before us to come and do things a little differently and to advance his kingdom. And so last week I spoke about the fact that we were breaking camp as a church, and I want to tell you what that looks like for us in the weeks ahead. And so we've been meeting together, and this week we took some time, prayed together and consulted as an eldership, as a leadership team, and I want to give you feedback around that. And I want to thank you for your prayers in that and your grace and your patience. You guys have been amazing. And so we're breaking camp. What does that look like? It looks like this. Well, we want you to come and to engage to the level that you're comfortable to. And so if you're not comfortable to gather together yet, if you've got comorbidities or whatever it might be, please feel free to distance yourselves and do what you feel is safe for you. But we want to encourage you to start to, if you do feel comfortable, to start gathering together. And maybe it's in family groups, which we've already asked you to do. Maybe it's in life groups. But we're also going to open up our Sunday groups again. And so last year we were calling them our Sunday hubs. I want to call them from now on out a Sunday fellowship group. And so our Sunday fellowship group, there are 9 of them that have been gathering. Hopefully in time we'll open a couple more. And what's been amazing is that on average we've seen nearly 300 people gathering in those Sunday groups, in those fellowship groups, on average on Sunday. That's parents and children getting together, fellowshipping, breaking bread together, worshiping together, doing church together, coming under the teaching of God, the word of God. They've been gathering together, and it's been beautiful to see the ownership and the buy-in and the participation. It's been stunning. And so we'll send more details out around that in a short while. But in addition to that, we're also going to open up in-person gatherings at the refinery again, namely our Tuesday night prayer meetings. And so from the 23rd of April, hopefully we're going to see a relaxation around numbers there so we can get a couple more, but we're going to start having in-person prayer meeting gatherings again. I want to invite you to come and to participate in that. The church is breaking camp. We're gathering together. We're moving forward. We're advancing the gospel. God bless you all.